so much of marketing, there's not really like a right answer. Like it's not like finance or accounting or areas like that where there's like a right and a wrong, and it's easy to figure out. That so much of marketing is just going with your gut, picking something, and then you put it out into the world, and sometimes consumers react really well, and then sometimes they don't.
What do you want to do after high school? This question stresses out every single teenager because the truth is, we can't make up our minds about what we're going to eat for breakfast, let alone a whole career.
But with applications around the corner, we need to do something about it. Join us every Thursday at 1, where we interview professionals in a variety of careers, so that one day we can answer this stressful question with confidence in our choices and ourselves. This is Career Hunt.
Are you a natural leader who loves to persuade others in business? Are you really creative but are looking for something financially secure at the same time? Well, marketing manager may be the best thing for you. So marketing managers are in charge of getting a product or service out there. They're in charge of maybe social media campaigns, commercial planning, working with other agencies, the media, to really create a brand for their company. A marketing manager requires usually a bachelor's in business administration or marketing, communications, and degrees along those lines. And some positions require a master's of business administration. The typical salary for this job varies from company to company, but you're looking at around 70,000 going onwards to even millions, like the marketing executive of Nike. Now, this may sound great and all, but marketing does go below average in terms of employee satisfaction. And that's why this episode is really important, because a lot of people go into marketing kind of blindly. But if you watch till the end and watch the experiences of our guest today, Julia, you'll find if marketing is the best fit for you. So without further ado, let's get started. Tell me about yourself and your journey to becoming a marketing manager.
Okay, I feel like that's a big question. Yeah, I'm from London as well. I grew up in London. So I went to high school in London, and it's probably like in high school, probably when I started thinking about like my career and like what I wanted to do. And I'd say the high school actually I went to, it was known as like being an academic school, and it was like pretty math and science focused. And I was like pretty sure that I didn't want to do anything in math and science. Yeah, I think I like just really early on got drawn to business, probably because of that, like not loving math and science or not feeling like that was where I was like, that was where my expertise was or my skills were. So just trying to find something else. So I started taking basic business in grade 9, and just kind of like liked how you can kind of do anything with it. So it was like a nice foundation for whatever you wanted to do. I always thought of myself kind of as like a creative person. I like to write, and I sort of fell into this idea of like marketing would be a neat way to still stay a bit creative, but have that like successful kind of secure career as well. So when I went to university, I was early accepted to Ivy, so I was kind of like locked into that when I graduated, but got to pick my program for the first 2 years. So I actually studied, it's called Media, Information, and Technoculture for 2 years at Western. And I'm actually super glad I did that. It was so different from business school. So there was a ton of writing, and we learned, I'd say, like the history of media and communications, but there was also just a lot of like interesting creative thinking about like technology and how does it impact like our psychology and like human behavior. So doing something totally different from business, and then the combination, I really enjoyed that. So I feel like I had that like creative thinking, got to like have like practice my writing skills, and then went and got the business basics as well. So I started looking at jobs out on the West Coast, and that's when I kind of stumbled across A&W, and I didn't know actually that they were a Canadian company until I started doing my research and applying. So that was one of the things that really stuck out to me. I had worked for a company that was an American-owned company and just had an office here, and felt like it was a bit disconnected. So not a lot of the big decisions were getting made in Canada. You're just kind of being told what to do and just executing. So I was excited that A&W is Canadian, and had been interested in food, so it felt like it would be a good fit. And I actually started doing social media marketing, and then I've just kind of taken on different marketing roles. So I have also done like media buying and media strategy in the marketing side. And today I'm actually the director of brand communication. So it's do like higher level kind of brand. So telling like our brand story and figuring out our guests and what they're looking for. And then do things like public relations, advertising, as well as digital advertising. So yeah, that's, I guess, like the short answer to all of that.
So could you describe a day in your life working at A&W as a marketing manager?
Yeah, say no days are really the same. I'm lucky. My job has a lot of different things in it. So I'm lucky, but it also means there's kind of like a lot of balls to handle, a lot of things going on. So I would say it's a good example. So for me, a lot of my work is kind of like project or campaign based. So if we at A&W are launching a new product, for example, that would kind of kick off like a new set of work for me. So maybe a good example is we launched grass-fed beef at all of our restaurants. So probably like the last 6 months, that's been my big focus. So it would start with things like we say like the industry, and having good relationships with the industry is important to us. So back before we even started thinking about marketing, I was actually like talking to beef ranchers in Canada and getting to know them and getting to understand just their perspective and the kind of stuff they would like to see from companies. So did kind of that like research and building relationships. And then as we get further along into launching something, that's when you start by writing a lot of briefs. So we work with some different agencies. So we'd work with like an advertising agency that would create advertising for us. And sometimes we'd work with a media agency. So usually I would start by writing a brief, which is really just a document that explains what the project is and what the goals are, and outlines the different deliverables, so types of ads and things like that. So I would kind of brief in all of our partners, and then there's quite a long period of you're sort of getting presented with different pieces of creative or ideas, and then you're giving feedback, and then things are getting produced. So I would work through a lot of that process. And then probably one of the last stages is as we're about to launch something, we would do kind of PR prep. So we put together like key messages and then do practice interviews. Our CEO is usually the media spokesperson. So I'm usually behind the scenes, making sure she knows all the answers to questions and is feeling comfortable before we go and launch something. So that's probably like a small example of some of the different things.
What is the top skill someone should work on before they start marketing? So like, what do you feel like is the top skill that is needed in your field?
Good question. I think I would say communication. So I think a lot of stuff can just be learned on the job. So when I came into my job, I'd say even though I had a business degree and had taken some marketing courses, not much of like the things or the content I learned in school did I actually like put into practice and was using in my work. You kind of just, you pick up your job as you go, but being a good communicator was so helpful. So being able just to like write well, it sounds funny, but like even just writing emails at work, having like just practice of writing different things, that helps you make sure you're getting your message across. And yeah, even just like being comfortable having conversations as well, because a lot of, in the business world, a lot of your work is you're sitting in meetings and you're having conversations. So just being comfortable like speaking up and saying things, but also asking questions, because sometimes like the best way to learn things or clarify is just to ask a question when you're unsure. So yeah, communication, I think for sure is the most important.
When do the best ideas come to you? And kind of like, what is your source of inspiration for like marketing creativity?
That's a really good question. I have a lot of those like aha moments when I'm like not thinking about work. So like it's probably on the weekend doing something totally random. I know and for my job, like a lot of the things I'm doing are visual. So I like so many times I'll just be out like going to a restaurant or shopping, and I'll see what's like a poster or something like that totally in like randomly in the middle of my day, and I'll take a picture on my phone, because it's like you see it can be a totally different brand and a different product, and you'll just see like a way they've said a message or like a picture they've used, and you just think like, oh, like we could do something similar on this project I'm working on. So like phones are very handy nowadays. You can like have something to take a picture wherever you are. So yeah, I have a lot of just random pictures on my phone when I'm out doing things and I've seen something inspirational.
What is the biggest challenge you faced as a marketing manager so far?
I would say the biggest challenge is, I think a lot of marketing is kind of like trusting your intuition or your gut. And I think as you like start out, that's something that you kind of have to like learn, and you have experiences and you learn from your bosses and people you work with. But yeah, so much of marketing, there's not really like a right answer. Like it's not like finance or accounting or areas like that where there's like a right and a wrong, and it's easy to figure out. That so much of marketing is just going with your gut, picking something, and then you put it out into the world, and sometimes consumers react really well, and then sometimes they don't, and you have to learn. So yeah, I think that can be challenging, because it's like nothing's ever really for sure. You're sort of trusting your intuition, trying something, and sometimes it doesn't work. So also just getting comfortable with things not going as you planned, and having to like learn from those mistakes and try again. So yeah, I think just learning to like, yeah, trust yourself and then be okay with mistakes and trying again.
What do you think is the best technique to draw people into a product? Like a marketing secret or tip that you learned from experience?
Yeah, I'll share one that this is actually our advertising agency that we work with. It's something they talk about all the time. So they're called Rethink. If you're curious, they have offices actually in Vancouver and Toronto and Montreal. But one of the ideas they like to talk about is to have like a really good creative campaign, or like a marketing campaign. You can be successful if you as the brand, you kind of sit down and think about like, what are your values? Like, what is the product you're trying to sell? Like, why is that important? And then you think about the consumers out in the world, and I guess like what are their values and what do they think is important? And then kind of like a Venn diagram, like you try to like find like what's that crossover piece in the middle. So like you and your brand and everything you care about and what you're trying to achieve, how does that cross over with consumers out in the world, and the things that they care about and what they're trying to achieve? And like when you can find that crossover area, it's not guaranteed, but that's when you're most likely to make an impact. So I guess like spending that time before you come up with like a message or a campaign, and trying to think about like that they call it the shared belief. What is that shared belief?
And the final question is advice you have for future marketing managers or people going into the marketing field.
Mm-hmm. My advice, I guess I would say like really sit down and think about the kind of work you want to do, and I guess like, yeah, get really clear about like what you're looking for, and then spend your time researching companies, because there's so many companies out there. They're all different. And yeah, I think like when you're starting out in your career, it's hard not to just want to like take the first opportunity that comes to you. But yeah, it's worth waiting. So if you can figure what you really want to do and the kind of company you're looking for, and be patient and wait around, I think it'll start you off in a better place. So it's worth the wait. It's worth figuring out exactly what you want.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And comment down below if you think this job is a good fit for you.
And if it's not, comment down below which one you'd like us to do next time.
See you next time.
Bye!